Nvidia just slipped 1.6% in pre-market trading, and the market barely blinked. That drop hit right after DeepSeek confirmed it spent the last year quietly building its own AI chip. You have been running DeepSeek V4 without knowing the engineers are designing custom silicon behind closed doors. Wall Street is not just reacting to a new product launch, they are pricing in a massive shift toward hardware independence. High US export controls pushed DeepSeek to build a custom inference accelerator and secure its own supply chain. Analysts point out a secret silicon redesign that optimizes for cost and stability rather than chasing raw training. You might wonder why build hardware when buying chips is so easy. The real answer comes down to reliance and operational control. DeepSeek is expanding its internal design team and partnering with external foundries. They're shifting from a model-only focus to full-stack control. They are finally locking in full-stack performance. True hardware integration is now baked into every layer. Think of it like a restaurant growing its own wheat instead of depending on a volatile global flour market. That is exactly the leverage they are building. The goal is simple. You own your stack and control costs while keeping servers running through any geopolitical shift. DeepSeek rolling out its custom silicon could dip demand for American GPUs over time. That is exactly why Nvidia's stock took that 1.6% drop. This move sends shockwaves through two major players. For Nvidia, it signals a potential shift in market share and that pre-market hit. Investors are watching closely. They remember exactly how Apple handled its Mac lineup transition to custom silicon. DeepSeek is also sidestepping Huawei's Ascend 950. Reports consistently name it the favorite domestic alternative. By designing its own chip, the company refuses to trade American dependence for Chinese reliance. They are securing their own supply chain. You can see why this matters for daily operations. When your entire model depends on third-party hardware, any supply chain hiccup becomes a business risk. It is a clear message that leading developers want true independence. Even OpenAI's massive cloud partnerships highlight how vulnerable pure software plays can be when hardware gets restricted. DeepSeek is essentially ditching the vendor lock-in game. They are betting that owning the hardware layer is the only way to guarantee uptime. Pure software plays leave you exposed. Owning the stack is the only path to control costs and stay resilient. Let's break down what an inference chip actually does. You feed a prompt into an AI and it spits out a response. That is inference. Training is the heavy lifting where a model learns patterns. Inference is the daily grind of serving those answers to millions of users. Think of training as baking, a massive batch of cookie dough in a commercial oven. Inference is handing out individual cookies at a busy fair. You only need one oven to make the dough, but you need a streamlined system to distribute them quickly. One bottleneck and the whole operation grinds to a halt. An inference chip is built exactly for that distribution phase. It handles the constant stream without breaking a sweat. It drops training horsepower to focus on speed, power efficiency, and response cost. Every cycle now counts. Those inference bills climb fast when usage spikes. You cannot ignore the math. DeepSeek builds a custom chip that matches their exact stack. It slashes costs and keeps margins healthy as traffic grows. DeepSeek V4 now handles rising daily queries. Running those on general-purpose GPUs burns cache fast. The roadmap ahead still holds real roadblocks. Scaling this cleanly takes time. DeepSeek is still outsourcing chip production to outside foundries instead of building everything in-house. The company has not yet taken full control of its own manufacturing pipeline. Moving those models to fresh silicon forces a complete rewrite of the optimization layers. Analysts allege the engineering team is already tackling that. You will also hit a major software hurdle in the translation work. It is complex, but absolutely necessary. DeepSeek will probably run a hybrid system that uses custom chips for everyday responses. The company will lean on other accelerators to handle heavy model processing. Some reports value the broader hardware initiative at $50 billion and $59 billion. Those figures come from a single source. This chip targets inference, so it will never replace training hardware. It handles the daily run of models while leaving the heavy training to dedicated machines. Treat these estimates as directional guides rather than hard facts. They map out a trajectory, not a guaranteed finish line. Geopolitics remains a moving target that can shift without warning. Even a homegrown chip depends on global supply chains that can tighten overnight. DeepSeek designs their systems for resilience so they can weather any storm. You still need to watch export controls evolve as the landscape shifts. The company is not claiming total decoupling. They are just building a reliable backup so they never have to ask permission to run their models. Custom silicon is the new moat. AI leaders are shifting from model-only development to vertical hardware integration. They need to control costs and secure their supply chain. Inference efficiency drives value. As usage scales, inference chips become the best route to profitability. They optimize for response generation rather than training. Independence means bypassing monopolies. True security requires options that avoid swapping US reliance for domestic dependence. That forces a multi-vendor or in-house strategy. The supply chain dictates your future. Every company must choose between a multi-vendor approach or going fully in-house. Your architecture decides your survival. What specific chip is DeepSeek building, and what is its primary optimization goal? They are engineering custom silicon built purely for inference efficiency. DeepSeek is building a custom inference accelerator focused on slashing costs and keeping tight operational control instead of chasing training workloads. This move directly threatens Nvidia by shrinking GPU demand across China while simultaneously challenging Huawei by refusing to depend on their hardware. By bypassing the Ascend 950 domestic alternative, DeepSeek forces both giants to compete for a new standard of total hardware independence. Inference costs scale directly with usage and can easily dwarf training expenses. This custom chip optimizes efficiency for daily operations. That sharp distinction between inference and training is exactly why this hardware strategy makes sense for long-term scaling. The model generates sharper responses while driving down operational expenses as it scales. That's the full picture. If this made it click, tap subscribe. There's a new AI explainer here every day. And tap the video on screen to keep going. See you in the next one.